All right, we are about to follow a single jolt of electricity on a pretty incredible journey. It's a trip that starts right there at your wall outlet and ends up deep inside the heart of your computer. And it all happens by passing through this pretty unassuming little box, the power supply.
I mean, it really does feel like magic, right? You just plug something into the wall and boom, your screen lights up, your printer hums to life. But have you ever really stopped to think about how? How does this little box take that chaotic, high-voltage power from the grid and turn it into the super precise, stable energy that all your sensitive electronics actually need to work?
So that's exactly what we're going to do. For the next few minutes, we're going to trace that path step by step. We'll follow the electricity from that wild, fluctuating current of the grid all the way to the perfectly refined power that comes out the other end. Basically, let's turn what looks like a confusing circuit diagram into a story that actually makes sense.
Okay, so our journey starts the second that plug hits the socket. And the very first job? Well, it's to take that raw alternating current, AC, from the outlet and just begin the process of taming it.
So right off the bat, this first stage has three crucial hurdles to clear. First, it's got to clean up all the, quote, noise on the electrical signal. Then it converts the power from AC to DC. And finally, it stores that energy at a really high voltage, getting it all prepped for the next part of its transformation.
So what even is this electrical noise? Well, the power coming from your wall isn't a perfectly clean signal, not by a long shot. That's where the EMI filter comes in. I love this analogy. It's basically a bouncer at a club. It uses these special components to block all that high-frequency junk from the grid from getting in, and at the same time, it stops the power supply's own noise from getting out and messing with your other gadgets. Now, this part is just a really clever bit of engineering. You know that little red voltage switch on the back of older power supplies? Well, when you set it to 220 volts, two big capacitors just split the voltage right between them. Simple enough. But flip it to 110 volts, and the circle does this amazing thing where it rearranges itself into a voltage doubler. It uses the AC cycle to charge the capacitors one after the other, basically stacking their voltage to get it back up to where it needs to be. It's just such a simple, elegant solution for dealing with different electrical grids around the world. So, after all that filtering and converting, where are we? Well, we now have a stable but very high direct current voltage. We're talking about 311 volts of DC, just sitting there in those big capacitors, ready for the next stage. You could say the chaos has officially been tamed.
Okay, on to stage 2, and this is where things get a little weird. We just went to all the trouble of creating this nice, smooth DC voltage. So why on earth would the very next step be to chop it all up? I know, it sounds completely backward, but trust me, this is the absolute core of how a modern power supply works.
And here is the secret. You see, transformers, the things that change voltage levels, they only work with alternating current. So, by using these super high-speed switches to flick our DC on and off thousands of times a second, we're actually creating a brand new high-frequency AC signal. And here's the magic trick. Higher frequencies mean you can use dramatically smaller transformers. This one innovation is literally the reason our modern chargers aren't giant, heavy metal bricks anymore.
The team that makes all this happen is pretty small, but it's incredibly powerful. You've got two transistors, which are really just ridiculously fast electronic switches, and they're the ones doing all the chopping. They feed these little pulses of DC into the main power transformer, and that's what steps the voltage down. But wait a minute. This whole thing creates a classic paradox, doesn't it? See, the entire switching process is run by this intelligent control chip. But that chip, well, it needs power to work, and the main power supply isn't really on yet. So, how does it turn itself on? Yeah, it's the classic chicken and egg problem. The controller, the brains of the operation, it needs power to tell the switches what to do. But the switches have to be working to create the power that the controller needs. So, how does this thing ever get started? Well, the solution is this ingenious little thing called a kickstart circuit. The moment you plug it in, a tiny bit of current flows through a special path, and it causes the power switches to start oscillating all on their own. Think of it like giving a pendulum a little push just to get it swinging. This initial kind of messy switching generates just enough of a trickle of power to wake up the main controller chip. So once that kickstart circuit has done its job, the real boss comes online. This is that critical moment where the brute force of the startup circuit hands off control to the sophisticated brain of the power supply. And I mean, the kickstart circuit's job is over in a fraction of a second. The instant the main controller, a chip like the famous TL494, gets that wake-up voltage, it takes complete command.
That rough self-oscillation stops, and the real precision control begins. This little chip is an incredible multitasker. First, it has an oscillator inside that sets the precise switching frequency. That's the system's heartbeat. Then it has error amplifiers that act like its eyes and ears, constantly monitoring the power output. And finally, its output drivers are the hands, telling the main switches exactly when and for how long to turn on and off. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like cruise control in your car. It's constantly measuring the output voltage and comparing it to where it should be. If the voltage dips a little, maybe because you plug in a new device, the chip tells the switches, hey, stay on just a little bit longer, we need more power. If the voltage gets too high, it shortens the pulses. It's this constant feedback loop that guarantees a rock-solid, stable output. All right, we are on the final leg of this journey. The transformer has done its big job, stepping that high-frequency AC way down to a much lower voltage. Now all we have to do is give it a final polish before it's ready for your device.
This final polish happens in two main steps. First, you've got a set of super fast-acting diodes that convert the low-voltage AC back into DC, then another filter. This one made of capacitors and inductors smooths out any of those tiny little ripples that are left over from all that high-speed switching. And the result? A clean, stable DC voltage, in this case, 12 volts, ready to go.
So let's just recap that whole journey real quick. It started with taming the raw AC power from the wall. Then we used high-frequency switching to make the whole thing efficient and small. The brilliant kickstart circuit solved that chicken and egg problem, handing everything over to the intelligent controller for precise regulation. And finally, the last stage delivered that smooth, stable DC power.
You know, it's funny. The source material for this explainer points out that when you just look at a circuit board, it's confusing. Yeah, you can see all the components, but it's really hard to understand what their role is. So hopefully, by following the path of the electricity itself, we've turned that confusing collection of parts into a much clearer story.
And you know, that really is the key takeaway here. A power supply isn't just a random box of parts. It's this elegant system where every single stage perfectly prepares the energy for the next one. It's a carefully choreographed dance, a transformation from chaotic grid power into the stable lifeblood of our digital world.
It's just such a great example of the hidden complexity inside the stuff we use every single day. Which really leaves us with a question for you. What other piece of everyday tech seems like total magic, right up until you look inside?